Welcome back to Mainstream PC, everyone. My name is Julian, and in this video I'm gonna do like a little bit of a one-off where I'm gonna talk about the recent news of the Nvidia RTX 30 series release, how I feel about it, and just some general information in regards to all these new graphics cards that we're seeing or that were announced, and the ones that might come following. So first of all, I'm so happy that the prices seem to be coming down for the high end. Realistically, in my eyes, the 3090 is a replacement or an equivalent to the Titan. So now we've got Titans that are what used to almost be 2080 Ti territory. It's a marketing thing though. Like Nvidia is making you feel like you're getting a good value, you're getting the higher tier for cheaper. It's what they do. But in general, we can't deny there will be significant performance increases, much more than we've seen from Pascal to Turing, from Turing to Ampere, that we can all benefit from at a much more reasonable price point. I wouldn't say low prices because it's still not low prices, but if you account for inflation, the price hike is somewhat nominal to what it used to be before the whole crypto boom and before Pascal actually came out. So with that being said, I would like to thank AMD, because there's no way in hell that Nvidia, out of their own volition, is giving up margin just to make gamers feel happy. That's I don't know, utopian to think that they have your well-being in mind. They have your money in mind. That's really all there is. And of course they want to be industry leading, because that's always like, if you have the top dog graphics card out there, a lot of more people are gonna buy even your mid-tier or lower tier graphics cards. So that's important for them. The 3090 is obviously, they didn't want it to be like, oh, this is not a consumer card, because then they would be like, oh yeah, we have a Titan that nobody should buy because it's like $2,000 or whatever, and our highest offering is the 3080. I think they very consciously brought that down to be a 3090, to be a consumer card, because that way they can say they have the fastest consumer card out there. Because even if Big Navi launches, and even if we see a 72 CU Navi, Big Navi, I think it would struggle to reach the expected performance of the 3090. So far, we've only seen slides from Nvidia, which obviously you have to take them with like a metric ton of salt, not just a pinch of salt. This is like marketing material, okay? Don't take this as gospel. And second, obviously they can do some shenanigans. They can't like completely falsify results, but there's some shenanigans already going on. I'll talk about it later. So that's one thing. And then we have the early look, or whatever they called it, from Digital Foundry, where Richard was able to test, I believe, the 3080. I was able to directly compare it to a 2080. Which, if you look at price, of course, is a fair comparison. But in my opinion, it would be much more fair to actually pit it against the 2080 Ti, which just happened to be brutally overpriced at the time, but I think is much more of an equivalent to the 3080, realistically. Either way, their review was also like, Nvidia dictated which games they could test, and I believe Nvidia probably dictated which settings they should use for their review or their early look. So even that, you can extrapolate some rasterized performance out of it, because there are some tests that they ran without RTX on, but only in select titles. So across a broader spectrum, we will have to wait for independent reviews. There's no point in taking anything that you see right now as gospel. There will be a performance leap in rasterized performance, but I don't think Nvidia even specifically said how much. They only talked about specific numbers like 2x and whatever, and 1.9x when it came to ray trace performance. Now, that's the big selling point of the RTX 30 series, so it's completely legitimate in my opinion that they kind of want to, embellish that, or not embellish, but like put that to the forefront. Like, RTX is where we're going, this is where we're pushing the segment, we're reaching the limits of rasterization performance. Ray tracing is the future, and we're doing ray tracing very well. No problem with that. But there is some shenanigans going on, and I want to talk about, first thing there, magical 2x floating point calculation per clock cycle. I don't think that's a thing. I think it's like a choice of what each floating point calculation can actually calculate. Not entirely sure how it's going to work with the shaders, but you don't just get 2x. But with this 2x thing, which we still can't verify, and I'll eat my own hat if it's true, whatever. But we're not just gonna get double the T-flops from being able to do magically 2 floating point calculations per clock cycle. There was way too little information on that to really drive it home for me that this is accurate. And this completely, in my opinion, embellishes the number of T-flops that these cards have. It's probably not really that floating point calculation, like that T-flop number in reality for rasterization performance. As said, I think there will be a rasterization performance increase, no doubt about it, but I don't think it's, let's say the 3080, which I would consider the follow-up to the 2080 Ti, even though it's priced significantly lower. I would say 20 to 30% maybe rasterization performance uplift, but obviously not gonna deny the ray tracing performance is far and beyond in a magnitude larger than what it was in Turing. So I'm very interested in these cards. I'm very interested in a 3080. I think for $700, which realistically, if you're not in the US, you're gonna pay at least $800, probably $500, $900 for, is depending really on how it performs. And once we have the independent reviews, is something that I would be looking at. If not, then a 3070, obviously. It's also like a 2080 Ti equivalent for, let's say realistically, $600 outside the US, is very enticing. I'm still, said it in many videos, in my editing rig rocking my 1080 Ti. Jensen Huang has addressed me and many others as his Pascal friends, and that it's now time for us to upgrade. I still take that with a pinch of salt. Once I see the numbers, once I see that I'll get tangible increases in, video encoding, for example, as well, I might be considering the 3080. One downside is there's faster VRAM, obviously, GDDR6X even in the 3080, which I'm happy about. Unfortunately, only GDDR6 in the 3070, which is a bit of a letdown. But still, only 10 gigabytes in 2020 for a high-end card was kind of a downer. But apparently there might be AIB models which might have 20 gigabytes. I wonder how much we'll have to pay extra for that. but that would definitely be interesting. Other than that, I'm just very interested to see the real numbers. Once we have the real numbers, it's much easier to make a real judgment about all of this. For now, I urge everyone out there who's like on the hype train, on the choo-choo train, let's go get a 3080, let's go get a 3090. I know you guys are probably worried that these things will sell out. The 3090s, I'm almost sure, are gonna be somewhat limited. But if you have 3090 money to spend, go buy the 3090s as soon as they're in stock. Honestly, you're the kind of people that I really can't talk to, or probably my content is really not created for, because that's if you have that money to spend and without remorse, you don't need to worry about it. Just spend it. For those who are more money conscious or financially conscious, and you still want a high-end car that you maybe will be able to drive for 3-4 years, the 3080 looks very promising. But I would urge you, if you have a card that still suits your needs, if you have a GPU that drives your games or does your video editing or whatever, video encoding, and does it just fine, maybe wait. Wait until Big Navi news, which have to be around the corner, because if they were gonna stick to their timeline, which is Big Navi will launch in the end of 2020, so far it hasn't been amended, then we should hear something in October, latest early November. And AMD has been very tight-lipped about this, and I'm not sure how to interpret it. It could be good, it could be bad. I personally think Lisa Su said no word, no tweets, no nothing. I think Scott Herkelman, the marketing VP at AMD, there was a tweet like, Big Navi is gonna be crushed by these 30 series, blah blah, time to give up or something like that. And he just tweeted the wondering emoji. So is, stirring that rumor mill, just but without actually unveiling anything. I'm pretty sure he even messaged Lisa Su before he tweeted that and was like, Lisa, can I at least tweet that? Because I personally think she said no leaks. We don't want leaks. Everyone needs to be about as tight-lipped as possible. Otherwise, Nvidia will bring something out to counter before we can deliver. And I think they have something big in the pipe. If there's a 60 or 64 CU Navi, that's going to compete with a 3080 in my opinion. If there's a 72 CU Navi, which is I'm still doubtful about. I'm not sure how it's going with yields and clock speeds and everything. Clock speeds will most likely be higher than what Nvidia has on Samsung 8 nanometer, which they're gonna call me out for slander, but really isn't 8 nanometer. It's more like a 10 nanometer node. They're gonna have higher clocks. They're gonna have massively better efficiency on TSMC 7 nanometer. So they are still in the race. Wait for that Big Navi announcement. Worst case scenario, you waited 2 extra months and nothing changes because Big Navi is complete crap. If Big Navi is somewhat competitive, we might see new models that Nvidia has to slide in to somewhat, break up the product stack, stay in the review cycle, and just have something that really competes or even outprices Big Navi. Or Big Navi is such a freaking monster that that we might actually go AMD this time around, some of us at least. I'm strongly considering it. Nvidia still has a lot of features that I'm very interested in personally. Like DLSS is, Jensen Huang said it himself, DLSS is the biggest breakthrough in the last 10 years that Nvidia had, and I completely agree with him. If DLSS is gonna, or 3.0 or whatever, is gonna work with all TAA-enabled games, which so far has been the rumor, it's what they're working on, then that's gonna be huge, because it really helps you circumvent the problems that you have with rasterization. You can only draw so many pixels. As soon as you draw so many pixels, your frame rates have to go down. Of course, if you on top do ray tracing, the frame times get longer, you get less frames per second, and so on. And if you only have to render, let's say 70% of the image, and AI fills in the blanks, because it's been trained on 16K super high resolution images of different scenes, and it just knows what to fill in those pixels by guesstimation. It looks amazing, like it looks like the real thing, and that's incredible. And right now, DLSS, the only reason why I'm not praising it more than I already am is because it's only working for so many games. Once it's for all TAA-enabled games, there's gonna be, the floodgates are open. And that's a feature I'm really, really looking forward to. But let's keep Big Navi in mind. I hope AMD is working on, AMD has been very strategically been working on features that obviously Nvidia has been trying to implement more features or promote features that Nvidia actually has, like the reduced latency thing that Nvidia is now promoting in the 30 series. They already had something like that to synchronize the handoff of image between CPU and GPU. That's already been there. It's just not been a huge thing, but AMD has marketed it, then Nvidia has implemented it, and then now Nvidia is marketing it with its new 30 series as well. So there's, catching up on both sides and trying to not be outdone in any segment by your competition. But if we look at Big Navi and we look at something that could be like, I think the estimated numbers that I've seen for a 72 CU Navi, should it be real, would be a performance uplift in rasterization performance over the 2080 Ti of 50%. If I look at the video of Digital Foundry from Richard, where they compare a 2080 to a 3080, in games with RTX off or DLSS off, and I take that gap and I place the approximation of a 2080 Ti in between, and then take the gap between the 2080 Ti and the 3080. It looks to be about 20 to 30%, realistically. And that's cherry-pick titles from Nvidia. So maybe we're gonna have an average of 20% rasterization performance uplift from 2080 Ti to 3080. Guesstimation. Take it with a huge grain of salt, pinch of salt. It's just estimating things. If Big Navi is actually delivering 50%, that's huge. That's actually, if that's a 72 CU Navi, then we're reaching close to what potentially is 3090 territory. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's this big gap between the 3080 and the 3090, apart from the 3090 realistically actually being a Titan card in my opinion. Either they're gonna slide in a 3080 with more VRAM, or 3080 Ti that has more shaders unlocked, because they can. It's the same die as the 3090, it's just with cut down shader counts or CUDA core counts. And so they left themselves a lot of places to go. So I think Nvidia was smart enough to leave themselves places to go if you don't want to be in the shoes of like people who bought a 2080 Ti, a couple of months ago and now hear this announcement and be remorseful of your purchase. Maybe just wait until November. Wait what we hear until November, because once AMD has to announce something, Nvidia will, of course, and trust me, Nvidia outside of AMD knows most about Big Navi than probably anyone else, because they are the ones who need to know to stay in the game, to not be outsmarted, to not lose their crown. So call it corporate espionage or whatever. They have, I'm sure they have their sources. They'll try to listen in as closely as possible to know what's gonna happen. But I think AMD is really, really keeping everything very tightly sealed right now and don't want any information to leak out, as to prevent Nvidia from getting a preemptive strike. And yeah, with that in mind, just if you can hold on for a couple of months, my suggestion would be hold on until November, see what comes out. Maybe we'll get more models, maybe we'll get reduced prices, maybe you'll get a fantastic value in Big Navi, God knows. But it's such a little time frame, and maybe if you've already been waiting a long time and you already got your money ready and you really like the 3080, just buy the 3080 when it's available. If you're afraid they're selling out, just buy it now, okay? I'm not saying, play the waiting game forever, because yes, with tech, if you wait, there's always going to be a new thing. But if you still have a GPU that does the things you need, and you're just kind of excited like me, coming from 1080 Ti, which I've had for quite a while, just hold on a little bit longer. Just November. If November doesn't bring you any new information or anything, then buy whatever is available, whatever suits your needs, and hopefully it'll be a good value. That's it from me in this video. I think I've rambled on longer than I really wanted to, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the current situation. And it's not like I'm hunting views because of the review cycle or anything like that, but I feel really compelled. See so many topics online on Facebook and Reddit of people, some people writing bullshit like, why is RTX 30 series so ducking cheap? And I'm like, it's not that cheap. It's finally we're getting decent value because there's competition, or there might be competition. Let's see. Nvidia probably knows more than most of us know, and if they price so aggressively, I think there's something coming. With that being said, this was Julian with Mainstream PC. Hope to see you again in the next video. Cheers.